welcome back to Fighters Drinking Coffee. Today, we have Nakapan from Beta Academy in Washington, D.C. He's a institution here in the Washington, D.C., MMA, martial arts, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, all of it, Muay Thai.
Like that, you institution?
There's a lot of things.
By myself.
You institution.
Yeah. You are.
But so he's been around the scene. We'll get into some of that today for sure. Nakapan, welcome on.
Thank you, guys. This is great. Fighters Drinking Coffee. I used to drink a lot of coffee, but unfortunately not anymore. But I will drink vicariously through you.
Oh,
excellent. I'm going to have
Mike's
some.
Gonna have coffee.
I'm going to sneak away.
It's a little late for me to have coffee in the day.
9 months ago, when I gave up coffee, that would not be the case. I would definitely drink espresso before I went to sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Hasn't Asim convinced you to get one of these whoops yet?
No, I'm too cheap to get the whoop. I'm going to do it, though, I promise.
You're worried about the data.
I'm worried about... Yes.
Yeah. Dude, you're not too cheap.
They are watching all the time.
I was worried about the data for a while too. I was like,
got it already.
Well,
I know. That's what everybody says. But
that was my hang up too. But then like Asim was like, the data, this is gonna be good. We're gonna use it. I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. I guess like fine. They can have my biometric, whatever this thing can do. But I will tell you, one of the things for me, so this is like my going on my 3rd month with it. I will say, it got me pretty dialed in to like my sleep habits. Because when you wake up, the app asks you these like journal style questions like, what time did you stop drinking caffeine?
Oh, okay.
I pop nicotine things in here like Zyn. So like, when did you stop taking that? Like it kind of gets like, it has like a daily journal thing. And then it reports back to you like the quality of your sleep and then tells you like, well, like you ate you ate dinner close to bedtime or whatever. And like that messed up your sleep. So it has gotten me into a good sleep pattern. I like dream again.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you guys dream?
Yes.
Damn, you all been getting good sleep for a long time. I'm happy to hear it.
I get minimal sleep, but it's
you both have kids.
I guess quality.
I have no excuse.
Oh, you got kids?
Oh, I got 2, man. There's no sleeping.
They crush your sleep 100%.
I think you get really good at maximizing the sleep.
Yeah,
I'm impressed with you guys, but I wasn't dreaming. I guess I haven't like had real sleep.
That might be the marijuana.
No, man, it's not that. It's not that. But it does talk about that. It asks you that too.
We talked about it.
You can look at my journal. I hit no on that. I say,
okay.
No, I answer honestly. I say no. Yeah. Sometimes I hit yes, but like mostly no. But anyways, I'm finally dreaming again.
That's good.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. I think that means I sleep. Like, actually sleep.
It means you're getting to the important part of it, I guess, right?
Whatever.
I don't know.
It's kind of cool. Dreaming's cool.
For all the guys out there, that'll definitely increase your testosterone too. So there you go.
Hey, man,
the right amount of sleep.
We're about that life.
We're all worried that our testosterone is low.
I tried to give you guys plastic-free water, dude.
If you
in a plastic cup, it's like this is like good plastic. Yeah, trying to keep your all's T levels as high as possible.
You sleep enough, you'll wake up with your erections. That's how you know you're good to go.
Yeah, we're all about boners here.
Yeah, that's how it works. But so, Nag, we've been asking our guests the past few. I'll set the stage a little bit before, but we've been asking them a Star Wars question to kind of get it going, and then we'll, see where it goes from there. But we've come up with a theory that Jiu-Jitsu, one, it takes itself too seriously sometimes, but also that there's like a nice parallel between Jiu-Jitsu and like, I guess more of the subculture of Jiu-Jitsu, what people are seeing online more than anything, in Star Wars. And our theory is that like you have Emperor Palpatine, who's John Danaher, and he is manufacturing the beef between Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan, who we have set as Gordon Ryan is Anakin, as the one that John Danaher is going to transition over to the dark side or is manipulating to the dark side.
One could already argue he's already there.
Might be. We're not sure yet. Maybe. He might already be there. And then Craig Jones is like, we're still in like the Clone Wars in this scenario. He's like Count Dooku. He's the Sith Lord.
That was like the worst episode. That was the worst one they ever made.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
2 was the worst one.
But, he's the Sith Lord outwardly leading the Separatists, but really Emperor Palpatine's leading it all, right? Like we got John Danaher. We're basically saying John Danaher is still backing Craig Jones in all of this. And, maybe Gordon's not in on it. They don't know. I mean, obviously Craig Jones knows John Danaher.
I think
Gordon
they're in on it. In my opinion, I think they're in on it.
You mean the beef?
Yes, because look at how like attention getting it is. Everyone's winning. They're all making.
I thought it was hilarious that last post that Gordon made, which is like systematically dismantling the octopus guard and all other low percentage attack. I was like, see that. Oh, dude, it was hilarious. I was like, all right, it's just great, man. It's great. I mean, if the internet is definitely alive in the jiu-jitsu community, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I take it for what it is. I like the I eat the popcorn. I read it. I read the stuff. Sometimes I'm in it too. Who knows?
You are in it.
Yeah.
You're all over it, dude. You're in the Star Wars universe.
I guess so.
Well, so we'll start with someone else. Who is Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Oh,
who's the jiu-jitsu Obi-Wan Kenobi? I like this question. It's been good.
It's a tough one to put your finger on.
Yeah, that's a tough one, So you're saying like we're in Clone Wars right now? So we're like a young Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We're open to suggestions.
We can be past it. That's the stage we've been setting up, I guess.
Man, that's a really tough one. I don't know who to look toward right now.
Marcelo Garcia.
We've had him. We've had Keenan. Those are the two we've received as
the Obi-Wan Kenobi of jiu-jitsu right now.
Those are the two. I think those are the two we've heard. And we've heard the from the guys who run AOJ was the
the Mendez
brothers. Yeah, that's the other one, I guess. So we've had a few different people put forth, but we're open to suggestions. We still haven't decided.
I'm from an old generation, dude. So I don't know. Like for me, coming up, it was Hickson.
Okay, I could see Hickson.
I mean, we were always about. Hickson was like the legend, dude. Like that was the guy, and he embodied like everything, just watching, I never got a chance to train with him though. Like that was the unfortunate thing. But I was always trying to like meet him one day, and I still have not met him. But I only know of the legend of the and just like seeing him fight in Pride and the way that everybody talks about him, like lining up 30 black belts in one training and beating everybody effortlessly, and then also being like a super clean eating, like yogi, like learning the breath work, like all these things are almost like mystical, like that's part of like the Jedi too. Like they have this mystical connection. So for me, it was always like, man, you ever seen Choke?
I've seen Choke.
I've seen Choke. Come on,
he wrote a book. His book's around here somewhere. The Hickson book. He does talk about he went through a party phase though. By the way.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah. That had to come.
That part of his Jedi arc.
Sure, right. You gotta have to.
They
walk
say
that
Obi-Wan did. They think Obi-Wan had some flings on the side. Was hanging out in the bars.
Nothing we know, but yeah, there's got to be a spin-off series.
They
we're gonna have to watch something like that.
Do they have one now?
Man,
tell them.
Oh, the Obi-Wan series,
dude. Yeah,
they have a whole Obi-Wan like. It's
no. I saw that. You know what? I did see that. Yes.
What'd you think?
It was such a long time ago, man. Like
it's just,
it's like like the Disney's now is just is way too woke for me. Like it's kind of crazy. I
agree.
It's kind of crazy. I don't like the new stuff.
It's not very entertaining. I watched it recently. It's Star Wars, right? So I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, dude, so Star Wars was like my thing. It was the first thing I was obsessed with Star Wars when I was a kid.
I rewatched episode 4, 5, and 6 at the Uptown. They brought it, they're like, oh, we're remastering it. And they've remastered it so many times. I was like, I'm going to go see. And then it was like, watch all 3 episodes in one sitting. So you're there for like 6 hours.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Oh, it's great. It's great. I like the Phantom Menace. And then when they made like the Clone Wars, I was like, this thing is kind of weird. It, even the dialogue in it is super cheesy. It's like, nice call, my Padawan. I'm like, who wrote this? This is
the
so
dialogue
low
was
budget.
goofy, but
they spent all their money on the effects.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I rewatched them recently. Still entertaining to me. So if I may, I rewatched it and I was like, all right, this is going to be. I kind of reframed my perspective on it around like watching Anakin turn into a psycho. I guess he always was like kind of go full psycho on, the path to Darth Vader. And I came around on it. And I think, yes, there's a lot of like the surrounding stuff was silly and kind of whatever, but I thought they did a decent job of watching this dude turn into a little maniac.
If you just follow all of them from like the perspective of just watching him, it's even 4, 5, and 6. Like if you just kind of like watch Darth Vader, Anakin, like all that. It's a very different story. Like if you just follow that plot, 'cause, like, I guess that's kind of what they decided the plot was.
I'll give it another rewatch again.
Give it a rewatch
to watch that.
Can you watch it with your kiddo?
I don't think she's there yet. She's like, she's turning like 6.
Okay.
Not quite there yet.
I don't know. You guys got kids. I'm like, that seems like a good, like.
They have a Star Wars kids show.
I started watching.
Okay, see.
I started watching R-rated movies probably way too young. So
I watched my first R-rated movie at like 4 years old, so I think about it now. I'm like, oh, I might be like, scarring my child emotionally or something. I was like, oh, in the 80s, like they had no idea, dude. I was watching like, like The Running Man and like crazy stuff like that. My stepfather took me to Tales from the Dark Side when I was 5 years old. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No.
It's basically like Tales from like the Crypt, like this kind of crazy stuff. I remember it because like this dude gets accosted by the mummy, and then the mummy like liquefies his brain with like a coat hanger and then pulls his brains out. And I'm like 5 years old sitting there. I literally cried and like left the movie theater.
And now you have a career in fighting.
Yeah, there's no way I can mess up my child after that.
True.
So yeah, it's crazy.
Could be worse. So Star Wars, but well, give it a watch. You don't have to bring her in on it. You just whatever. I think if you follow the arc of Anakin's fall, I guess all the way through to Return of the Jedi, when he for like 10 minutes at the very end, he becomes a good guy for 10 minutes. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Check it out
for sure.
Who are you in the Star Wars universe?
Oh, dude,
because you're at least, I don't know beyond here because I'm not anywhere beyond the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, but like around here, you've been a part of the lore for a while. So like you've been in all of the rooms, we've been with some of like the big names. So you're part of the universe at this point.
Maybe you're Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or I did, before the show started, I did say you might be Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, go ahead.
Jokingly.
Now you got to kind of walk on both sides, so that way you can know what alignment that you're kind of leaning towards.
Right.
You haven't decided. He doesn't know which side of the Force he's going to go to.
No, as long as I'm not, I like, as much as like Han Solo, he's not as...
Han Solo really, if I may, just for a second, rewatching it, he's the coolest guy.
Yeah.
By far.
By the way, I think that's the best movie, like Solo. Like,
oh yeah,
dude, have you seen that? Dude, great. No Jedi is in that movie, but like...
I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude.
I'm gonna check it out.
You need to watch that one.
I will.
It's just space pirates, dude. It's great.
It is amazing.
It's great.
Hell yeah. Is it Harrison Ford?
Yeah. No.
Oh, damn. I was like, how? Okay.
No.
He's in the new ones though for like
a couple minutes,
20 minutes before he gets
rest in peace.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
So do you want to be? You see your Han Solo? Is what you're saying?
I mean, I like he's a cool character, but I could never be that cool.
Or like in the DC area, are politicking and stabbing each other in the back and fighting each other, and you're just kind of being the cool guy.
I'm not even a Jedi, and I have no problem with what you're doing right now. I'm just hitting it for the money.
Yeah, that's what he was all about. He's like, look, I gotta pay off Jabba the Hutt, dude. I respect that.
That's pretty on point. Yeah. Are you a bounty hunter?
I like that. Boba Fett.
Is he Boba Fett?
Could be. At one point, I think in my life, probably was over there. I think one point in my life, I was just like in the Sith for sure. I don't talk a lot about it, and I don't want to give it too much time because everybody asked me about like my time at TLI, and if at that said, like in my time, as I much say that Hickson was Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm not even going to say who I thought the Palpatine was, but here's the thing: like when you're part of the Sith, you want to overthrow the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to kill him in order to take his place.
Oh, bro, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So you're always like, oh, like what is this about? Like maybe I can be the master, but how can I overthrow the master?
Is everyone in Jiu-Jitsu a Sith? Is that what we're getting at here?
I think a lot of
new working theory?
There's a lot of Sith stuff going on in Jiu-Jitsu. There's a good amount. Amount.
I don't know. He might. Do you still want to talk about the thing you were telling us about earlier?
The younglings you killed?
Your murder of the younglings? At a Jedi temple?
People ask, again, this would be my time when I was with that association. And you were talking about Nova MMA back in the day, right? Because we are in Arlington right now. And my good friend, Cho, she's running it, right? And oh my God, like all the names are all in my mind right now. But let's say we had this renegade purple belt who was teaching at the school, and nobody knew who he was, and he was promoting people to blue belt.
Whoa!
Right? So, which is unheard of in
What
our
year?
thing.
What year approximately?
I'd say 2010.
So this was
Okay.
like right before we started training there then.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because maybe once upon a time back in the day when there weren't like a lot of brown or black belts around, that might have been like culturally normal. But there were brown and black belts around here around that time, right? I mean, probably not a ton, but like there were.
There just weren't as many, obviously. You know, we're talking about like 15 years ago.
But in any scenario, purple belt promoting people blue belt is still pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's very wild.
Yeah. So, you know, the emperor got word of this happening in the school and pulled us all together. You know, we were just on there making he's making phone calls. He's like, hey, so who you know about this purple belt guy? We don't even know where he came from. He was just like, he ended up at this gym because there was no jiu-jitsu instructor there, right? At the time, there was just kind of like a vacuum. I think Ryan Hall was teaching there for a while, and then Greg Soder was teaching there for a while, and then nobody's there. So it's like the Wild Wild West. So they're kind of like, they need some assistance. And so I guess this purple belt came from whatever school. I still don't even know his name.
It was not me.
He was just
because
like
I came in shortly after
he
that.
was an overweight guy who had like a mohawk, right? And he was just like, man, this is kind of crazy. So this was all happening for a couple of weeks. Maybe some pictures surfaced. This is before Facebook's even like really taken hold of everybody's minds so much. And so he didn't like it. So the emperor called all of his apprentices.
His hit squad.
Yeah. One of them was me, and I just had the school open not too long ago. We opened in Washington, D.C. on Columbia Road in like a small charter school, and we moved to a church, this almost abandoned church. Anyway, I got the call, and of course I was excited. And I was like, I'm going to show up this guy. He's promoting people in blue belt. So I was like, oh, what? So it's like, bring everybody you got, and we're going to show up this guy's house. And I was like, all right, so where is he at? It's like, he was at the school. So anyway, I called all my guys, all my instructors, right? And they were like, what do we get to do? I was like, well, look, I don't know. I was told to call every capable person who could show up at 6:00 at this time and be at this address. And dude, like, everybody was excited. So I brought 10 guys. We rolled up, and then imagine there's a whole bunch of people there. There's like, I remember DJ Jackson, and like he's in there. And I'm trying to think like who else of that generation was there, because many generations of these people that were coming through the association. And so we all go in the dressing room and we change, and then we walk onto the mat. And then there's like 20 confused like professionals, you know, like these guys are like attorneys and doctors, you know, just taking the 6:30 class with this purple belt guy. And then now the emperor is kind of like walking around and he just like stops the class.
Did the emperor showed up too?
Yes, he's there.
Okay.
He's there. And so he's like, everybody get on the wall, you know? And so everybody's on the wall, and he's over there, and he's saying like, I don't know how this happened in my association that this person here is promoting people, you know, it's like, this is unheard of. So what we're going to do is make an example of all of you, right? So then all of us are lined up on the other side, and it's not just my school. It's like whoever else in the affiliation could show up, and they brought all the heavy hitters. And so we just began to beat everybody up for 45 minutes. We would, and slowly, as much as they could.
Jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, right. But
this
they were
MMA.
No, we're not going that crazy, because obviously nobody wants to get sued.
Right.
Even though I think like, you know, at that looking back, I think we definitely could have gotten sued for that.
Statute of limitations is way.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. So there you go. I'm good to go. It's 15 years ago. No big deal. So and then what happens is like the guy who after, you know, he's like, is that the guy? Yes. Okay. So everybody's jumping on this guy. Like he's literally trying to crawl off the mat, and we're pulling him back on the mat. And then just beating him up, like submitting as many times as we can in the most uncomfortable positions, like neon belly, neon neck, like whatever we can do. And, you know, it's like, we're all hyped and like celebrating. We're like, yes, this is awesome. You know, and looking back, I was like, man, that's really messed up. Like, I can't believe we actually did that. It was fun, but we probably scared everybody in there, you know, and it's a good way to make everybody quit.
Oh yeah.
So,
there was a pretty small program when we got there. So
they went through some hard times, it sounds like.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, and then, you know, I met a lot of good people through Nova MMA, like Sugi, he was teaching there for a long time. right? So there was a lot of good people that passed through there, and so it's very unfortunate when the whole thing kind of later on they moved on. So
that would be after Jeff left, right? Because
I was there also when Jeff was there. Jeff Ruth also, he's a very good friend of mine too. Yes. And he wasn't teaching there as much. So I think they needed some other people.
Yeah,
kind of fill the spot.
Because that's all around that time from what Joe had told me. So, because we would have started there not long after
2011, 2012.
Yeah, because
who was teaching the class at that time?
When I got in there, Greg had taken over for a little bit. And then Greg left about a
he wasn't
year
there
later.
Very long. Yeah.
No, because he went off and started his own thing shortly thereafter. And that was around the time when TLI disassociated with Nova MMA. So Nova MMA was kind of like on its own. And I think at the time when they had access to like that team's coaches, like they would have hand selected dudes. Like Greg was one of them at the time. And then like I think when that ended and Greg went and did his thing, then it was a handful of like transition, like a bunch of dudes were kind of coming and going because they just needed someone to coach.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Greg Soders and I trained a lot together at the headquarters, and then he got kind of put there for 2 years.
That was what it was.
So, he was on an island there for a long time and then kind of moved on too.
Yep.
Interesting, right? Like you run into all these characters, and now Greg is championing the CLA method of training. And here we are. So.
Here we are. Fast forward a couple of years.
Jiu-Jitsu is just continuing to evolve.
The show goes on.
Yeah. The show goes on. Crazy. And so
some of those lawyers and the guys you all massacred, they probably continue to train sometimes.
I hope so.
I hope so too, man.
I hope so. Yeah.
I wonder if any of them were still there when we got there. Like, I'd like to.
It would be.
I like to believe there was like one dude.
It would be sweet to find one of those guys who was like, "Yeah, I just figured that was how it worked."
It's like his first day.
He's like, "What did I sign up for?" Man?
Yeah, and that was like the only other time after Dojo stormed. I
mean, that's an episode of Cobra Kai.
Dude, it's great.
That's a season of Cobra Kai.
I love living my life like a kung fu movie or a karate movie. I think this is why I do martial arts, and so, I mean, there's been a lot of craziness. I've seen a lot. I've been around for I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 30 years now, so I've seen a lot in that time. I've seen it change a lot. Like even now, you would say like it's pretty much mainstream. A lot of people know what it is. Whereas before, when I was training, we were in like a garage, so like nobody really knew what it was, and some people would definitely say it was gay. Like even though the jokes are about it's gay now, but it's still gay. It's still gay. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
It's not.
It's
always been gay.
It's level set a little bit. Yeah. Mike, get you some coffee, dude. You've been waiting patiently. It's still kind of gay, but but that's normal. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
It's very in style. It's a trend right now, right?
It's
much like being gay and such jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
It is a trend
style.
right now.
Yeah,
it's in style. There you go. Cool. They all go hand in hand. We might as well ride the wave together.
Jiu-jitsu is popular. You've had a very successful business built around your martial arts pathway. It's a good thing, right? It's good that it's mainstream.
Yes. I am nostalgic for the old days when it was just something that I did and a few other people did. But, now it's made it so that a lot of people can have a good way of life, a good living through it. So I'm not upset about that.
Yeah.
I'm always, you miss
the dojo storm days.
I miss those days. That's kind of in the middle time of those days, so.
I imagine every once in a while he has like this box at his house that he opens and it's like his secret Sith gear.
Here it is.
He just opens. He just looks at it for a minute. Just remembers.
The strongest Jedi would be the one who can walk on both sides, right?
You go.
That would be it. And I think that's it's a good metaphor for where we are in martial arts right now because because it's in style and it's in mainstream, people can make a lot of money off it and. As much as I like that too, I really like the other side of it, being altruistic and like being a martial artist. And so you just kind of have the balance.
Broke artist. Artist, man, the old days, roughing it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't mind go back to those days sometimes, not worrying about money so much, but
it was simple.
Yeah.
It was
simpler times.
Much simpler.
Yeah. It feels like, the days getting crazy every day, man. So, but yeah. here we are, and I'm very blessed to be able to train jiu-jitsu and martial arts and meet guys like you guys and come and sitting around and talk about it, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm very lucky.
Yeah, man. So you were actually telling us before we got on that you are going up to New York to compete in the Judo Open, right? And so like you've been doing Judo, but you just recently, if I'm remembering correctly, you just recently started like really competing in Judo?
I was competing in Judo in the 90s as well, because, back in those days, I'm like an old man, like back in those days, it was almost one and the same, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, yes, but it comes from Judo. Like in all honesty, it comes from Judo, right? So we still did a lot of takedowns, did a lot of throws, back in my day. Also, like we talked about standards of being a black belt, like a black belt mostly fought like Vale Tudo or MMA, right? Like that was kind of the pathway to get your black belt. And that's really, how we even came to understand what jiu-jitsu was, watching Royce Gracie on the UFC, So I trained a lot of judo back then while I was doing jiu-jitsu. As a matter of fact, I started with the Yamazakis back in like 94, 95. And Yamazakis are a judo family in Brazil. And so they opened up a school over here after they saw, I started training with Mario, and then later Fernando came up there. And so I luckily enough, I ran into my first judo teacher. His name was John Widman. He came to the academy, and I remember because I was a blue belt and he was wearing a white belt, and he like arm locked me, and I was like, how did this guy beat me? Like I don't understand. And he's like, I've been doing judo for like 25 years. And so then he started teaching a judo program. And so those things kind of came one and the same for me. And I was like, oh, I want to get good at judo too. So let me go compete in that. But back in those days, you could do double legs, you do single legs, right? Like that wasn't something that was taken out. So it was very useful in terms of self-defense. It made sense to be like, how do I now bridge the gap with my striking and my grappling? Well, I'll use judo as my basis to try to learn to take people down. And so you're learning single legs and double legs. Now it's like judo doesn't allow that. You can get disqualified. When they first took out that rule, you could get disqualified simply by touching somebody's leg. So I kind of lost interest around, I would say 2012, maybe 2011, they came out with that rule. I'm not, but as soon as that happened, I was heartbroken, and I was like, this is very sad, and I'm just going to leave it alone for a while because I don't really care about it right now for what it is. I was really trying to learn how to fight. Mm-hmm. And now I'm back into it because I'm doing kudo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with kudo.
I've been only through the videos you've been posting.
Yes. Japanese MMA. So very exciting, where you can punch, kick, elbow, headbutt, even groin kick in certain rule sets. No. There's an open division. You can like throw. You're wearing a gi, and you're wearing these fingerless gloves, so you can like grab the gi and use it to choke. And so basically, you can do jiu-jitsu, but you have a limited amount of time to work on the ground. It's every competition is 1 3-minute bout, and 30. You can go to the ground 2 times in that 3 minutes, or a 3-minute bout. So you can go 2 times for 30 seconds for that 3-minute round. So you can go newaza twice. So you can work, but you have to work quickly, because the idea is that it's supposed to be as close to real fighting as possible. So you don't want to spend so much time on the ground, right? So you have to get it done. Mm-hmm. And so therefore they put a lot of emphasis on throwing and going right into the submission, or throwing and striking and then getting to your submission. So I found this during COVID. I was like, man, I'm sitting in my house, and I stumbled upon this video. I was like, man, this is really cool. What is it? And that's where I kind of was exposed to it. And so therefore, kind of going back to the original question of why I'm competing in judo, is because I wanted to compete in kudo, and I wanted to get my black belt in it. And one of the things you have to do is show as many throws as you know in 5 minutes, and it's very judo based. So I was winning. I said, might as well get my black belt in judo, which I was 1 belt away from before I quit. And now I've kind of trying to merge all 3 together. So my goal now is to win a world championship in the over 45 division in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and Kudo. So 3 things all focused in a gi, whereas before, in the last 7 years, I probably wore a gi maybe like a handful of times, and I'm a very, very much a contrarian. So when I see everybody moving to no gi, I'm like, I'm going to move back and go back into the gi to try to figure out, like how do the techniques that I'm focused on, how do they relate to one another in all three different sports. And I think that there's a lot of value in that because, the closer that we are to combat, I think that's where we're going to find those techniques. And so therefore it makes it more fun for me. It's more something to do. And that's just something I'm going for. So, So I am competing this weekend. I am making weight. Tomorrow I have to make weight. In judo, they allow you to make weight the day before. So there's a lot of people that are like cutting hard. The other extreme is IBJJF, where you weigh in 20 minutes before you jump in the competition, right? So you're kind of like, if I really cut, I may get a reduction in my performance. So I really got to really toe the line there. Also, how heavy is my gi? You got different variables. So I find it interesting in all these different sports, how you approach preparation. And for me, it's just trying to keep it fun, try to make a goal, and hopefully get a lot of good habits out of it as I'm moving forward. So yeah. So we'll see. I'm doing the New York Open Veterans, so basically the old man's judo tournament, and they have a Newaza division too, which is just groundwork where you just start on one knee. So that's kind of weird. I'm still unclear what the rules are. I think it's judo ground rules, which is basically you win with a pin. You just got to pin the guy for 20 seconds inside control or mount, and then you can do submissions, but the submissions are all above the waist, so only arm locks. And then
chokes.
Yes, you can choke. Technically, you can't really do a Kimura, but they still count the Kimura as an arm lock in certain respects. So there's kind of a gray area with the Kimura.
Weird.
Yeah, I know it's weird. It's weird. So you have to kind of be, and then there's a rule where you can grab inside your opponent's sleeve.
Oh, you're allowed to.
Oh, you're allowed to do that.
Oh, okay.
It's massively.
It's a little different.
You can control somebody really well with it, but you can also destroy your fingers pretty easily too. So, and in judo, they're always changing the rules like every year, which is kind of interesting too, because then people have to be like, okay, what are the new rules for this year, and how do we game the rules as much as we can? It's something I don't really enjoy about it, but if you're trying to win, then that's where you're at.
That's what happens when you have an Olympic sport, right? They adjust the rules after every single major international competition, and they see something, they're like, well, we don't want these people winning, so we're going to change the rules to play against their style to help other people.
That's the conspiracy theory about what the
double legs,
single leg and the double legs were taken out because the Eastern Europeans were basically dominating the sport with it. And, but they're like, no. It's more in the spirit of judo. We're using flexibility and the yielding and this and that. And I'm like, that's a great takedown. You shouldn't have taken it out. The single and the double, hands down, one of the most important ones. It's actually part of the curriculum of the Kodokan. So why are we taking it out? Anyway, that's just a whole nother.
Well, aren't they bringing it back? Like, I heard they were going to start reintroducing legs.
They're bringing it back in Japan in like the Japanese tournaments first. So it's not something that they've put in the international rules yet, which allows the Japanese to basically get an advantage because they're back to competing with that first.
So they'll have the lead-in time.
Yeah.
By the time the international Olympics or World Championships changes, they'll be like, well, we've had the last 5 years.
Yes, they've already had a head start on right. So there we go. So then that'd be fine. If it allows them to bring it back,
again,
that would be great.
Yeah.
All the sambo fighters and wrestlers will already be somewhat
the Japanese
trained. Put them in a
the Japanese wrestling team, the women's wrestling team's always been good, but the men's wrestling team the last couple cycles have been nice. They've been winning a lot.
Did I send you the I think it was a white paper on what they have been doing that makes them so good?
No, but I would be very interested in looking at
I need
this.
to find the link, but it basically all went down to their hand fighting, the specific hand fighting method they're using that is specifically attack the hands. I need to find the full thing because the breakdown's way more in depth than that, but start playing around with it. It makes a big difference because if you just grab their hands, that's not the entire thing.
Yeah.
Just grab
Did they put out the white paper or did someone else?
Someone else evaluated it. Yeah.
Because I was like, if I were them, I'd put out a fake.
No, it's like someone was just watching their matches and watching their, whatever tape they had, watching their international matches and watching specifically what they were doing. And that was one of the main things that I took away from it because that was the easiest thing to just pick up real quick, was just initially going to the hands rather than going to wrists or wrist elbow, just going hands. So.
Well, the lower body attacks, I think it sounds like it would level the playing field quite a bit too.
So I think it would make it more interesting to get more people involved in it. Actually, I competed in the Veterans World Championship in Paris this year, and I don't know if you guys remember Claudio Calasans, but he's a multi-time Jiu-Jitsu world champion, ADCC champion. He won the Masters 3 division.
No kidding.
Yeah. He won. But he's also been doing judo since he was be able to walk, but so he does have a lot of judo experience. But he did go in there and basically submit everybody. And I only saw it from a distance. I was like, man, that guy really using a lot of groundwork. Like
he looks kind of familiar.
Yeah. So there's some jiu-jitsu people now are basically infiltrating that sport.
They'll change the rules on that too.
Yeah, I'm sure. But,
if you don't get a submission in 0.5 seconds,
they were letting the groundwork go. And that's another direction that judo is going in. They're giving you a lot more time to work on the ground.
Okay.
As long as you're active and you're dynamic with you're not just sitting there in one position. Like if you sit in a half guard for 5 seconds, they're going to break you and you're going to sit back up. But if you're like changing to a knee cut and you're back and maybe you're like a quarter guard or something like that, and you're kind of moving around and really showing the ref that you're trying to make progress, they'll let it go. And I mean, I had to use a lot of groundwork at that tournament. I got a lot of boos, but at the same time, it's like I'm doing what is going to let me win.
The French fans are like, boo!
It's crazy. I was yeah. But I had 8 matches, I think, in there, and still go home empty-handed. Got 5th place. I mean, they still get the standings.
Wasn't it controversial? Like that last match you said was kind of goofy.
Yeah, I was going for a throw, and this guy like key eyes, and he's like, and they had to kind of review the tape for like a couple minutes. I'm sitting there like there's 6 seconds left on the clock. I have to give this guy a score. Like I'm screwed.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to be able to make this up. Lo and behold, it got taken from me.
So the key eye, because he
just like did a hand movement, and it looked like he put me on my shoulder. So like maybe he initiated the throw, and they would give him a score for that, as opposed for me like trying to throw and dropping to a shoulder. Anyway, there's a lot of subjectiveness in the judo scoring criteria. It's very, very difficult sometimes to understand. It depends on the ref, and there's a lot of influence that a team can have on a ref. So you go out there and you start yelling at them, much like in jiu-jitsu now, but the jiu-jitsu ref looks very uninterested and almost like doesn't even want to be there. So we try our best to influence the jiu-jitsu ref as well.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't care what you're telling me from the side, coach. Whatever.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm just here. So
other people, it depends. I've seen a lot of jiu-jitsu refs get influenced by powerful forces.
Sometimes you're Brazilian, that helps.
You have a big name and you're Brazilian. They're like, they'll get nudged a little bit.
Maybe the language barrier is why they don't listen to us.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're like, I have no idea what you're saying, dude.
But judo is kind of like a side quest for you, building up for your kudo.
Yep. My first kudo fight will be on my birthday, June 12th. I'm going to compete in the North American Kudo Championships. So we'll see. It's in Colorado Springs.
Cool. It's a good spot.
Elevation.
Yeah. That's the problem. Because I was there training and I was like, man, this is really hard to breathe. As a matter of fact, my kudo sensei was like, when you go to the gas station, ask for this. It looks like a bullhorn, but it's basically oxygen. So he's like, get one of those because you don't know how you're going to react. A lot of times you just need to take a big inhale and then get back into training. You'll be all right. And they just sell them everywhere because they know that people getting there are just not used to the elevation. But here's the other thing. When they come to us, it's flipped. They feel
awesome. Or they feel bad?
They have a hard time because our air is a lot more humid, and they're not used to the humidity there is very dry, and you can even feel like your eyes get like really dry, and it's hard to see almost sometimes. You have to get really used to it. So when they come here, they're just not used to the humidity, and so therefore they're breathing on the mat, and so I think that's interesting because you're always like, oh, we should train in elevation, and you're going to get much more better cardio, but then you're like,
so we need to train in elevation with humidity.
There you go.
We need to find these like crazy high, thick air jungle mountains.
You can get I've heard that back in the day, I heard this like in the MMA circles. I want to say it was like George St. Pierre, one of those, like a big name UFC fighter. Those dudes used to get like those, I think it's hyperbaric chambers. You sleep in them. And they say like, if you just sleep and expose yourself, like you don't actually have, you could go and be in the altitude and do a training camp and whatever. But allegedly, if you just expose yourself to one of those things, like if your body just starts to get used to it, you don't have to be even physically active in it. It was explained to me at the time. This was years ago. So take this for what it's worth. Ask ChatGPT. But you sleep in one of these things and like your body kind of like, you'll get the acclimation, I guess.
Yeah.
And then when you go physically to perform athletically in something that's like allegedly, you'll have the adaptation for it. So maybe you just feel normal.
I'm just going to do steroids.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
but you should do steroids and just go like a week early.
I would say some dudes just cycle EPO.
Yeah, just start blasting now, dude.
Man.
No. 100% natural athlete.
They're trying to. Someone's trying to give you that, right?
Yeah, you got the
I don't know if they're trying to. That might be a strong
pushing.
Well, I am sponsored by this company, the Rebel Health Alliance. It was actually open.
Star Wars.
He is.
There you go.
Solo,
the Rebel. So
the Rebel Health Alliance.
The Rebel Health Alliance, dude. There you go. Wow, yeah, look at the connection right there.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but the guy who opened it, a good friend of mine, John Goldman, he used to be one of my students, and he was our first North American Muay Thai champion at one time. Now he's like, then he was a strongman, then he just runs marathons. Anyway, he opened this company. Basically what they do is they tie in your doctor, your PT, your strength conditioning coach. But I see him, of course, so I said, you got to use my guy, and, the other guy can be my consultant. And then they have like a genetics specialist, and basically they do all your blood work and all the testing. And it's very comprehensive blood work. I mean, I hate getting my blood taken, but they took like 14 tubes of blood.
Oh,
and then they kind of go through all the stuff. And it was interesting to see. And I learned more about blood work and all the markers and how they, and what they're supposed to be.
Cool.
But so then they, discuss that with you, and they're like, hey, so, considering what you want to do with your goals, why don't you try this? He's like, look, you have, for me personally, they're like, you're for a 45-year-old man, like good testosterone. Here's a couple issues. My SHBG is just a little bit higher than it should be. It was like at a 60. So for all you guys that are blasting, I'm sure you're like, oh man, this guy's like hypogonadal. Like, he needs juice immediately.
I don't think anyone knows that the letters you just said means.
It's a sex hormone binding globulin. I think that's what, if I'm saying it right, SHBG.
Okay.
This is your ability to convert testosterone to use. It's like, right? So this, you're like free test. You have this free testosterone, you have your total testosterone, and you have this SHBG, which is like your ability to convert testosterone to be used. And so, but I was fasting a lot during that time. I was doing a lot of fasting. Now I try to eat throughout the day, try to get protein throughout the day. Whole nother story. But fasting for long periods of time and trying to make weight will definitely increase your SHBG and make it hard for you to use that testosterone. So there's a lot of factors around it. It's also like what time of the day, because your testosterone levels oscillate throughout the day. So depending upon when you get it tested will also determine where you're at. So I was at 550 for my total testosterone. They say it's normal testosterone is like 300 to 1200. And of course, this is measured for like an 18-year-old male, right? So,
well, that's a wild range too.
Yeah, it's a huge range.
That's like all the numbers. That's like
most of it.
So generally, when you're trying to get TRT, like, oh, we'll give it to you, and then you'll get to 800 or 900 is where they kind of want you to be. Of course, these bring other issues. We were talking about that earlier. Your testicles will shrink to the size of raisins. There's issues. Raisins. Yeah, you shut down. You shut down.
Yeah, the raisins is wild, dude.
The atrophy.
Yeah. The factory shut down.
Okay.
You also become infertile. Yeah. So that's the other thing. If you're like a younger male and you think you want to have kids one day, this might prevent you from doing that. Now they say if you stop doing TRT within a year or two, you can get your system to go back, but you're kind of shocking it. You're gonna crash. You're gonna feel awful, right? So you're gonna have to figure out how to restart the factory, so to speak. So I'm definitely not there yet. That's definitely something that's making me hesitant to ever get there, because right now it's like my phone, maybe because I talk about it, or my phone is just being blasting me with
advertisements.
It's like, hey, you need testosterone. Like this guy was, a sack of potatoes, and then now he's just like, look at him, a chiseled man.
It's Wolverine.
He's so jacked, and he's picking up all the women.
All you got to do is just start injecting, So anyway, so the Rebel Health Alliance are like, hey, so you're pretty good overall. I had some kind of like genetic heart situation that they saw, but my lipid profile was good enough, or my cholesterol was low enough to protect me from that. So they gave me all this kind of stuff, talking about that. And then, so basically I'm taking a whole bunch of supplements. So they're like, you need vitamin D, you need boron, you need Tongkat Ali, you need all these different things. These are natural ways to boost your testosterone, natural ways to like fix your vitamin deficiencies, because everybody's apparently vitamin D deficient. Because we just not outside as what we're used to. So if everybody get your blood work done and you check it, you'll probably be low, something to get, you gotta get like a fish oil and stuff like that to supplement. So I'm on that train, right? There's also like the doc's like, hey, so, if you ever want to go this way, you could, all you got to do is tell me,
just say the word.
You can do that. And he's a jiu-jitsu guy too. And he's like, everybody in your age group's doing it. So you could do it too. I was like, man, I'm not really ready for that. Cause there's other things. As I said, I hate I hate the sight of my own blood. And that's kind of weird. I just don't like that. Every time
needle is stabbing you up.
Yeah, I won't look at it. I'll just look away.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest baby when it comes to that. But so they'll do that. But you're going to have to basically inject yourself 3 times a week. They say if you it's called pinning. You pin yourself 3 times a week. That's first where you got to be. And then sometimes you have to get emergency blood dumps where you got to go and just go you have to go and donate blood because your blood is so thick.
Okay.
Right. So that's what happens.
Produce too much.
Yeah. So they're like, oh God, we have to go and we got to drain you. And, the idea of that is
pretty, you don't want to do
I don't want to have to do that. Yeah. So that's kind of why I'm making sure I take as much approach to natural supplementation, even though I wasn't even a supplement person. I was like, I'm just get it from food. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. But if 5 milligrams of creatine is going to, give me that extra boost and I'll just go ahead and try that first before I do anything else.
How is it? How's the creatine treating you?
Great. I gained a lot of weight from it. Unfortunately, maybe 2-3 pounds from intercellular water retention that you
Muscle
get from.
though.
Yeah. Nah, it's just
getting jacked, bro.
Yeah. So it makes it harder to cut weight. And that was my issue too. I'm usually losing a couple pounds and I got to lose a couple more because of, the extra water retention. So, but they help me with that too. Like, okay, what's your weight goal? Where do you have to be? This is what we want you to be the week before. This is what we want you to be the day of. So there's a lot of conversation with that and they help me a lot with that. That's what I really engage them for. And then I still continue to get my blood work sent in. And so, they were at, because I know, as I said, the masters divisions in the IBJJF is like the TRT Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody is on gear, dude. And once you start doing it, the problem is this, like, I'm told that, and this is, of course, my personality. Whenever I do something, I'm trying to do it the most, right? And they're like, you have to take if you're on TRT, you have to do the dose that you're going to be happy with, like just the least happy with, but happy with, because you could be more happy. You just have to do more.
You're like, I'll do it all. Give me all the TRT.
You'll just be in the thousands of.
So I'll be happiest.
Yeah, I just might as well do more. And then now I'm abusing steroids.
Sure.
So it's a slippery slope. I'm not ready to walk that path yet. But we got Joe Rogan and all other people, proponents of TRT, like Craig Jones is openly publishing his stack, and everybody's like, oh, he's doing it, let's do it too. Okay, Gordon Ryan, who's definitely sauced.
There you go.
So here's the thing on that too, though. Like how many days are you training, like hard training, and how many hours those days? Because like that's really like a lot of the guys that talk about it, they're like, yeah, like it lets me train 7 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day.
That's a lot of training,
because they're just destroying, because your body just can't recover, right? Like, so you need that extra stuff. But if you're doing a smart training program, you might not need the extra help to recover. You might actually be recovering naturally, and you don't necessarily need to like boost those numbers.
I'm an extreme person. I enjoy training, so I'll train as much as I can, unfortunately. And I guess, the TRT would definitely help me recover and be on the mat as much as possible. But, for me personally, I probably, I get some type of strength conditioning every day, which takes me about maybe an hour, right? As you know, Asim has definitely given us the plan, except he made me run 7 miles.
He makes you run more than me.
Dude, 7 miles.
He's creeping me up, though. I'm noticing a trend if he listens to this.
He put me cold turkey on cardio, dude.
Well, it's because I think he wants you to gain weight. I think he wants you to get.
I can only gain so much more. I'm in the middle. But yeah, he was just like, no, you aren't doing any more cardio, bro.
Dude, it was crushing. I think that's the most I've ever run in one session, like 7 miles. It took me like an hour and 15 minutes. I guess I run like a tortoise.
It's like a test of patience, really, more than anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I enjoy it.
I have to keep you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I think eventually I might enjoy it. I'm not there yet.
You try to get a good place to run, so there's at least a beautiful site. Maybe I run to this lake, like Barcroft, so I can see a nice, beautiful lake when I get there for a second, then I run back. But it helps me, think about things. I try to get it done at like 6 a.m, so I just get up and get out there. And when it was cold, it's cold now. Like I'm so glad I don't have any runs right now, but even in like 30-degree weather, it sucks.
Are you running outside?
Yeah,
I'm running inside like a bitch.
I got those mountain views, dog.
True.
Yeah. However, it's like I need to find a new place to run, because like it's the further he makes me run, the more like hill climbs I have to do.
Yeah.
So every mile, it adds like 3 extra hills to climb up because it's just like I'm on a mountain. So it does this.
That's my run too.
You guys got this is rocky stuff though.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
Straight up and down where I'm running. So yeah, but 1 hour of conditioning and then maybe like 1.5 to 2 hours of martial arts training. At the age of 45 now, sometimes getting a good workout is better than a great workout, in the sense that I'm not going to get injured. So I have to kind of know when I'm going to go hard. Most days it's like trying to figure out what I'm working on, putting myself in bad positions and trying to get out of them. But there'll be like 1 or 2 days a week where I will go harder, so like when we go on like at 9 o'clock, we're in there just killing each other. So I think that's great. But that can't be every day. Maybe when I was 18, that was every day, but not anymore. You a
question, man, because like I feel like first things first, dude. Like I feel like your performance, like you're getting better and better in competition.
I appreciate that.
You seem like you are. Like I've known you for a little while, and obviously like, we've trained together. But like you were friends. I follow you on Instagram. Like the medals keep racking up, dude. So I feel like you're like continuing to reach like high levels. And so, to your point, I've thought about this about myself too. Like a couple of years ago, I was like, dude, like, man, I feel like I'm starting to get really tired in training. Am I getting old?
Yeah.
And the answer is I am getting old for sure. But I also like, I remember being a young man and being for sure shittier at jiu-jitsu or wrestling or whatever the martial art is, fill in the blank. It was jiu-jitsu and wrestling. But I remember thinking like I could basically like metaphorically I could run faster on the mat. I can move, I can spaz way more, but it was way less efficient back then. And so I have this like theory where it's like, as you get more efficient, like you can like, it's like maybe call it like a car. We'll use like a car metaphor. Like you put a better engine in a car, like it'll go really goddamn fast. It might bleed out gasoline. It might, the oil, like whatever, like you might wear out the tires, but like you're capable of going faster. So like, am I feeling, because I feel like I'm performing better too. Like I'm achieving more now than I was when I was younger. I may not have as much like quote unquote athleticism as I did when I was 22 or something, but I think I'm more efficient now. And I think I know I would beat the shit out of my 22-year-old version of myself.
For sure.
Right?
Could it also be they were all working with a seam and it's like, God, I mean, because I was about to say the same thing. I was thinking about it.
The undertone of what I'm saying here is I think we all kind of learn how to train smarter. And like what you just said a second ago about being like, all right, like, dude, we're going to be on the mat every day in some capacity, plus the strength and conditioning. So I don't think anyone's undertrained, right?
No. I think it would be the opposite for us.
Correct.
We're all overtraining.
And so that's the thing, right? Because I think like, okay, like credit to what I was saying to you, like you're continuing to get better, but you've been on the mat consistently and hopefully like injury free. You always seem like you're pretty damn healthy to me, man. I think that's the name of the game, dude, for us. And like, I think we all figure out how to get better at the amount of time we have on the mat. And like, you're a gym owner, you're in the gym probably constantly, right? But you're not always training, even when you're in the gym.
Just when I want to be.
Right.
That's what I tell myself.
but you give it in but you also have the myriad administrative tasks, like all the other shit. Your dad, you have a wife, like you have other things going, like a lot. And your dad too. Like, I mean, like you probably can relate to this. It's like, I have this many hours that I'm going to actually do shit today before I go home and eat or whatever. You talk to my kid for a minute, just put myself in your shoes, like 45 minutes to do nothing and then go to bed, do it again. Like that chunk of time that we're on the mat, we got to make the best use out of it.
Sure. Yeah.
So I feel like as you get older, like we like learn how to like say, I have this much time. I'm going to make it the most valuable use of that time. And like, does that mean we go out there and me and you train? Do we spaz on each other? Do we not spaz on each other? Do we put ourselves in fucked up spots and work out of it? Yeah. Like, do we say, all right, well, like me and I'm going to show up and train with Nakapan. Let's say we get 3 to 5 rounds. We're doing 2 to 4 rounds. We're going to spar. There's a room of other guys. We'll meet these other guys. All right. How many of those rounds do me and Nak want to go like balls to the wall? Yeah. Versus how many of those rounds do me and Nak want to do something a little different, right? Nak puts me in a fucked up spot. I put you, you know what I mean? Like we can be like really tactical about each chunk of time and get like ultimately just better training, which I think makes us more effective overall.
I think Coach Firas Zahabi said it best. He said, consistency beats intensity any day of the week, right? So just trying to be consistent as much as possible. I train pretty much every day, which probably isn't very smart. I should really have a recovery day.
Super smart.
I train every day. But of course, you have to vary up the intensity. And so there's the days where we want to go and you're like, I'm trying to win. And I'll fight with other guys who are actually as good as you. And you're like, you're trying to beat them. And there's the days where I'm really trying to build a skill, and I'll just do that one thing. Sometimes it's annoying to that person, but I'm like, I'm just going to work on right now. I'm just reversing a reverse omoplata turnovers. I'm working that. I'm trying to hit it from everywhere.
Reverse omoplata. That's crazy sounding.
Because it works for judo, So I'm like, it's because people judo, they turtle. So it's a good way to kind of roll them through and pin them. But it's also very useful in jiu-jitsu because no one expects it. And then you can go into submission from it. So, I'm like, oh, can I use this? And I can also do it from standing up. So it works for kudo too. Let me figure out how to kind of work this. So anyway, that's just like I try to make like 80% of my training focused on skill development. And then the other 20% where I'm on the mat that I'm, trying to win, so to speak. Right. And then if you look at it from just training, then you have to kind of break up when your skill development training time is versus your strength conditioning time, because you obviously want to spend more time with skill development, but they kind of go together. So anyway, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I'm also not a mathematician.
Mr. Scientist. Well, that's by the way, that's also something that like Asim talks about that all the time too. I think it's wise. I think this is where, like you're a competitive athlete, right? You have like you have you're going to have matches in like 48 hours?
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Which is going to be great. But like you have a game, right? So I think this is just an observation. I too appreciate this. Mike does as well. Mike competes. I compete. You compete. I think when you are a competitor, it gets you thinking about that a little bit more because you also all right, my real peak performance time is Saturday, January 31st in New York with the X division. These are the guys. This is what my peers look like. This is the body size, right? Like, so that kind of tells you like, all right, like my winning rounds, I should probably try to like mimic some of my competitors a little bit here and there, like get to my division. And so maybe those are the rounds when you're looking at like if you have like 7 hours across, if you spread out the week, whatever, those are like the sparring days, the practice days. You're like, all right, like I do need to get some rounds that I'm winning. Like you said, 20% of the time, the other 80% of the time, the bulk skill development. So you can be as effective as possible. So the winning really is Saturday the 31st. So everything else we do is you building up to that. And so if I may, like the contrast, I think being with like folks who maybe are doing this for a hobby, which is fine too. And they're going to go in and fight when they train. Like that's kind of their fight.
Yeah.
They're not competitors and that's okay.
And so for some of them,
maybe we do or don't
workout.
Train with those.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's still a workout for you, right? It's like, not like it's not a workout, but there's a difference between
that's their exercise for the day.
So I think we're saying the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
But like Asim says the same thing where it's like skills when you're on the mat and physical attributes when you're off the mat. When you're doing his workout, he's like, that's where you get your physical attributes. Of course, it's like a Venn diagram. They overlap.
Yep. Because there are times you're going to Shark Tank with a bunch of people that you don't want to do with. And it's just, there's a lot of potential for injury there, but you're going to have to do just a little bit of that because, you want your martial art to come out under pressure. And that's when, mental grit. Right? Yeah. How do we simulate the circumstances of competition as much as we can? So here we are, right? The same thing because, when you go into striking, I haven't done that in like 10 years. Like the last 10 years, almost 10 years ago was my last MMA fight. And that was a terrible decision to come out of retirement to like, I was also going through divorce at the time. And I was like, I need to go. I'm having a midlife crisis.
Fighting again.
I'm driving a Jeep Wrangler that's got like no power, anything, trying to take me back to high school. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. It was a terrible time. It was a terrible decision. I didn't have any good
was that
advice.
A trip back to the dark side for a brief period?
Yeah. I was definitely walking that line. I was actually in the middle of it, that was my time on the dark side, but you have to know the dark side to be able to walk the line.
You almost fell back to your old ways. It was dojo storming.
It was so alluring, the pull of the dark side.
Yeah, dude, it's intoxicating. Yoda said that. It's actually the word Yoda used was seductive.
Oh, that's good.
It is seductive.
That's good. If you come to our school, that's one of the first quotes you see on the wall. It says, "Do or do not. There is no try."
That's right.
Right next to Jigoro Kano's like fall down 7, get up 8. I always like to put stuff on the wall. Maybe you'll take it. And so therefore we have Star Wars on the wall.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so, I think the three of us are probably the most unhealthy when it comes to competition because we're like, yeah, we got to go and do it again. And then so, but I do think that every student of martial arts should compete. That's just my, overall opinion. I think now people want time and grade, they want to get promoted, they want to get the black belt. And then they're like, for instance, I had this kid, he doesn't train with me anymore. He was like passing through for college. And we had like a belt test where we basically make people fight each other because I have to make them at least put them under some type of pressure and see how they perform. And then I'll put the magical piece of tape that says, you're a little bit better at jiu-jitsu, right? So boom. So, he's a white belt. And then I put the stripe on him and I was like, he comes up to me, he's like, Professor. I was like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, am I really a white belt? I was like, isn't that what your color of your belt is? He's like, yeah, but I was thinking I'd be like a blue belt, I was like, oh, you want a blue belt? So I was like, well, you know what? We have an in-house tournament in 2 weeks. If you compete in that and you win, maybe we consider something. He's like, no. You see, my shoulder hurts. I can't do that. And I was like, I see. You want me to give you a blue belt, to literally give you a blue belt. You don't want to earn it, And so therefore, like, I know people have a lot of things to do in their lives and they're not maybe unhealthy about martial art competition as we are.
It's so healthy.
Right.
I think it's healthy.
We could argue about that, right?
Value out of what we do.
Yeah, but then people don't even want to test themselves now. They just want to be. I showed up to enough classes, so give me the belt that I deserve. And I think that as stewards of the martial art, particularly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like I would be doing it a disservice to move somebody up like that, and so therefore I have to make them challenge themselves as much as I am, the great master of martial art, really I'm just a guide. I'm just there being like, hey, well, think about this. Why don't you try this? And so therefore, like, I think there's a lot of value in it. Maybe you don't have to do it as much as we do, but I encourage everybody to test themselves. And I think there's also, it can be very seductive as well, this standing on the podium and trying to do the thing. And that's where I try to be more like Ryu, I don't know if you guys grew up with Street Fighter 2. I definitely did, right? So, and when you beat Street Fighter 2, it just like, it cuts to this with Ryu, there's a podium and it's empty. It just has like second and third place. And they're standing there like, where is he? And he's like out there walking into the sunset and he's like already on to the next challenge.
Yeah.
He's like the medal or the ceremony means nothing. The fight is everything.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's amazing. Dude,
is that on the wall too?
No, I want it to be.
He made a post
that's
about
a good
it. That's he made a post about that.
It's one of the most inspirational endings to a 16-bit video game that I've ever played. Or, so I was like, man, that's how you should treat that. Like, don't worry about the medals, you're in there and you learn more about yourself during the fight. And if you fail, it's okay. It doesn't feel great, but at least you can learn from it. And that's where we learn as humans, I think, is failing and then trying again and figuring out a way around it. Right. So, whereas this new generation, unfortunately, is just like, I'm going to quit. Yeah. They just want it and then they're going to quit. And so therefore, this is where martial art has even more value to this generation. I'm a firm believer that martial arts can change the world and it can save the world. And as much as it is competition, there's a lot of cooperation, right? You won't get to where you're going to be without the people on the mat. You're not going to have the experience you're going to have in competition without your opponent showing up. So we have to be respectful, respect that, be thankful, have gratitude for that, and treat everybody like brothers and sisters. Even though we might just be fighting for a piece of metal for 5 minutes, no big deal. But you learn. It's such a great vehicle for self-improvement that it needs to continue to be passed on, and so therefore, like, that's why I encourage as many people who take that step of opening a school to try to be a positive influence as much as we can. As I said, I doesn't make me a good person. I'm saying here, and I'm not saying like I'm on soapbox. I'm a great person. Like, you should be like me. I'm just saying, like, I've been to the other side. I've been on the dark side. It's better to be a Jedi, So let's just kind of guide you over here. But I cannot not stop you from going there. Maybe you have to go. I mean, like, arguably Luke was almost there when he was about to slay his dad.
Close, man.
Right? So, but he had to get there and be, and just be on the edge and then walk back and be like, man, I was there. I saw it. I know it's seductive. I've been there. And so therefore, I think everybody has to, do that for themselves. That is the only way you will know it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And so you touched on it a little bit there about helping out other gym owners. Cause that's a big part of who you are, what you do too, right? Like, these guys who are opening up new gyms. And like, we actually had a listener question about this.
Oh.
So they were asking about, this mentorship and how you I'm trying not to like screw up their words too much.
Do the best you can.
So
I don't
that
think
I
he's gonna
still
be
am
mad at
asking
you.
the same question. Well, I just want to make sure I'm asking the same question. But so they were asking like how that line, here come the fine lines again, but that line of mentorship and competition, and how like, you're helping, how do you work that line of, hey, I'm helping these other gyms, but there's still kind of like is there, I guess is part of the question, is there still that level of competition? Like you're both competing for the same people, like, but also, how do you move past that, right? Like, stepping past the competitive nature of business to help these other people.
I think you create your own market. Now we're talking about business, right? You create your own market, So it's like you have to tell people what you do, why you're different, and you're not necessarily competing, I would say. Because, all in all, we are trying to spread more martial art. And I think the more schools that are there is actually better, because then you have a lot of choices, and there's more talk about it. So I don't see people as, we don't necessarily have to be competitive. There's something I read about, would you say like most successful civilizations or empires, or let's just call them businesses in general. Like there's three things that make them very successful. One is cooperation. So learning how to cooperate one to another. There is also competition in the sense that like we're trying to be better at signing people up and teaching jiu-jitsu. And just because I'm doing it and you're doing it doesn't mean we have to be at odds with each other. We're just going to use that as ways to improve. I mean, you could take the metaphor of competition, right? You're in there. It's like, I don't have to make you quit jiu-jitsu in order to, that's not my goal. My goal is just to like win this one exchange. And then maybe next time you might win, who knows? But we're both benefiting each other because we're both competing and trying to be better. So there's a lot of that. And the other one is just being open, like open to new ideas. And so therefore, like as, business owners, school owners, it's important to be open to the idea of like new ideas, and that's where the mentorship comes in. So I run the Black Belt Syndicate, which is basically let's say an affiliation, right? And in that affiliation, we also offer mentorship to growing businesses. It could be jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. I'm really into more combat sports than I am in the karate realm. Because I love what we do. And so I think there's a way that we can do it that can get more people involved. And I'm sorry, your question again was like, is there?
Yeah, it's just, I think you pretty much answered it. I think I think the only other portion of that is, no, I think that answers the question. It was about,
competition.
It's just competition.
Yeah.
Like, how do you approach that? Is it there? Is it, how do you create, maybe it is, how do you make it productive, which it seems like you have a pathway for that too.
There's also a way of, let's say, the worst way to do it is if I leave the school that I'm at and I steal half the people and I open up like literally next door, but even though that happens, that doesn't mean one has to fail. It's like, we just have to figure out a different way to do it. Like that's not preferable. It does happen, but in any case, I see combat sports, jiu-jitsu, martial arts as a growing industry. It's not like there's less people doing it now, where people are just dropping out. There's more people that are doing it. So with that logic, there should be more schools serving more people. You can only have so many people in one school, as long as we have respect for one another and we do it right and try to help each other. I think that, we can all get along and there's plenty to eat for everybody. Right. And then, eventually you're going to create your own competition in the sense if you don't have a way for them to grow themselves. Right. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really have an interest in opening multiple schools. Like right now I have the largest school in Washington, D.C., you'd say like 675. We're trying to get to 750. I think that's going to be our cap, maybe 800. But my experience with more people comes more drama and more things you have to deal with. And it's like a daycare, Unfortunately, it just is. So that's kind of where we're at. But, people come through our academy. That's what we have. So we are essentially training our own trainers through there. If you come through our program, you can eventually teach. And that's also part of becoming a good martial artist is to learn something well is you have to be able to teach somebody else, right? So that's kind of I think a requirement for somebody to get a black belt. You have to be able to show somebody and be able to articulate and express like what it is to another person, this technique. And so therefore, where do they go after that? You can only be on the mat 40, 60 hours a day of a week for like so many years before you're like, okay, what's next for me? You know, some people want to do that, but some people want to move on and do their own thing. So if you don't give them an option, then they just open a car across next door. It's like, hey, well, now let's figure out like, how can we grow jiu-jitsu? How can we grow Muay Thai? How can we grow MMA? Well, maybe you open over here and I support you. And so therefore, you know, we can figure that out, because at the same time, I'm sure there's been a lot of things that I've experienced that I can help you avoid. You know, maybe sometimes you have to experience them, but at the same time, I can make sure you avoid some of the major things that might get you to stop doing what you're doing. Because I've been doing this the school's been, this is their 17th year. So I've seen a lot. I've seen, you know, one of the rules we have in our school is you can't date the students.
That's a good rule.
That's
very good
the number one rule. This is the pathway to getting fired. You know, but it doesn't mean you have to leave. It just means you just can't teach here anymore because you can't control yourself. But there has been a few unicorns, you know, where you marry the person that you got with, and that has happened a few times. So I won't say it never happens, but I do get upset when I hear about it. You know, unfortunately, my roommate one time, he was an instructor there and he did that. And then we had to basically fight every day for like a week, and it was terrible, and it was like full contact like on, and so I felt bad about it at the end of the day. But you know, it's not a lot of bad things can come from it. You know, you look at our jiu-jitsu community, our internet feed right now, it's about like, you know, sexual assault and things that are happening in our community. And a lot of that comes from that boundary, you know, and that goes for women too. Women are like, oh, you know, it doesn't apply to me. I'm like, if you're a woman coach and you're still hitting on the dudes in class, like, yeah, that's not allowed. The rule still applies to you, you know, but I think the position of authority that you have, or like the perceived power that you have, that you're, you know, you're running the class, you're leading the class, puts you in this, you know, rock star state that like people want to get with you, and then after they do, they realize you're not as cool as they thought you were. So
you're like, oh man, you're kind of loose.
Yeah, what did I do? That happens, and then it's like, oh, I'm not going to hang out in this class anymore, or maybe I'm going to be in this class after I broke up with you, and now your day's shit, you know. And then I'm like, well, hey, you know, you did that. You still got to show up to work. Just because your girlfriend is no longer your girlfriend, it's not my problem. So yeah. Anyway, that's one of the rules. So there you go. Just some basic stuff that I'm sure that everybody already knows, but some people sometimes don't follow.
That was a little sample of the mentorship.
Yeah.
I like it.
Don't bang your students.
It's a kind of it's a no-brainer, but it has to be said.
Just in case.
Based on how frequently it comes up around the community, it definitely not this community, but it comes up way more frequently than it should. So obviously people need to hear it. Well, yeah, I mean, you got anything else for us, Nak, before we start wrapping up here? Or you got any more?
No. I mean, I appreciate the time, guys. Like, as I said, I think martial arts has the power to change the world. We got to get as many people into martial arts as possible, you know, and therefore we have to be a good representative as well. And I think like you guys are great guys to hang out with.
Oh, thanks.
You know, we can get into some, and I'd love to come on again. We can get real deep into it. You know, I really all the stuff about like who they are that run the world, the conspiracy theories.
I got a guy who will definitely want to do that.
Let's go.
His name's Tim.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
He would love
As a matter of fact, we trade books all the time, me and Tim. Yeah, we're like, hey, read this book. You're like, what'd you think about that? You know, he brings stuff to me all the time.
I think Tim and Nak should be the first Fighters Drinking Whiskey episode.
There you go.
He's not going to drink the whiskey, but we're going to put a cowboy hat on his head, though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's really more about it's the vibe.
It's the vibe. Dude. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Honestly, if we're going to put you and Tim, then we won't have to say anything. Let you guys run on it.
We're just going to sit here.
What I'll do is, as soon as the conversation slows down, I'll just throw some like grenades, and I'm like, here's like, talk about these.
Well, what do you think about
this? You haven't said anything about giants yet. Like, if we can make.
What about that beanstalk thing?
Dude, you guys don't know about giants, man. You're whatever. We'll definitely do a conspiracy theory episode again.
Let's do it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. It was a blast. Awesome. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. That was Fighters Drinking Coffee. That was Nakapan, and you know, where can they find you? And then I'll get into the other stuff.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on all my socials. I post every day on Instagram, Nakapan MMA. You can find me on YouTube at Nakapan. Surprised you didn't ask me about the semen retention question. I get that one a lot.
Well,
That's
next
all right.
time. Next
We can talk about it later.
To be honest
no
with
big
you,
deal.
didn't think about your semen.
I know. It's
weird, right? It's kind of a
weird,
weird
mystical thing. It's like it's how you get to the next level. You need to open up your
you're right.
Buddha
What was
to
I
the
thinking?
idea.
That's the next episode.
Now I feel disrespectful not asking.
We'll do a full thing on it.
Yeah, you
That
can
should be our first question for most guys. Let's talk about their loads.
Yeah. No, yeah, you can find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff. And reach out, and I'd love to connect with everybody.
Hell yeah, man. So that was Nakapan. I've been saying it wrong this whole time. Fuck.
Nakapan!
But yeah, thank you for coming on. This was Fighters Drinking Coffee. As always, guys, hit those reviews, 5 stars. I don't care if you do or don't like it. Hit 5 stars either way. You can comment below and just say that we suck, but still do 5 stars.
Leave the comment.
If you hate us or like us, it doesn't matter what you comment. That's the best part. You just got to comment. Engagement's the key that drives us up the algorithm that gets us in front of more people so they can decide whether or not they like us as well. It seems like it's mostly positive though, so whatever. Cool. But yeah, guys, that was Fighters Drinking Coffee. Bye.
All right.